Mowers, and I will be presenting the California Visual and Performing Arts Standards and Framework for 12th grade. There are 11 standards, and they are based around 4 processes. You can see here are the 11 standards. We'll go through them individually. The purpose of the standards are to inspire and support the development of students in all the facets of creating and appreciating visual arts, with the goal of developing a lifelong appreciation and understanding and hopefully engagement to the arts. And even if we're lucky, maybe students might pursue careers in visual arts. All these anchor standards are centered around 4 processes in creating art, and they include creating art, presenting art that's been created, responding to art pieces, and connecting personally with art that's being viewed. So I chose to go about presenting the standards looking through the lens of one of the projects I've done with students. I think this was in 2019 when my class did some work around a Kehinde Wiley piece that was loaned to the Santa Barbara Museum of Art. So Anchor Standard 1 is generating and conceptualizing artistic ideas. And this falls in the process of creating. And what students are doing here is they're trying to discover what conditions are conducive to being creative, what might prevent you from being creative, and collaborating. And they're looking here at this painting, and they're starting to gather ideas and get inspiration. So they're generating and conceptualizing art. Anchor Standard 2 is when students are organizing and developing their artistic ideas. So they're building on Standard 1. This falls in the creating realm, and this is where students are starting to look at different materials and processes for creating what they might want their art piece to look like. They're also going to be, experimenting safely with different materials, and they're also looking to see how different materials and objects can be placed in space to create a reaction from people. Anchor Standard 3 is refining and completing your artistic artwork. So these are kind of linear. So students have brainstormed, they've done some experimentation, and now they're refining their artwork. And you can see here students looking at different materials, and they're collaborating, and they're critiquing each other's ideas, trying to figure out what our piece is going to look like. Anchor Standard 4. This comes after a piece has been created. This is in the presenting process, and so students are going to select and analyze and interpret artwork for presentation. And the enduring understanding artists and other presenters consider various techniques, methods, venues, criteria when analyzing and selecting and curating objects, artifacts, and artworks for preservation or presentation. And this slide shows 2 presidential portraits in the presidential portrait gallery at the Smithsonian, one of Obama and one of Trump, and you can see definitely different styles. And so this is part of where an artist is going to select and analyze what do they want their piece to be made of and look like. Anchor Standard 5. Developing and refining techniques for presenting their artwork. So this is again in the presenting realm. Students have created their artwork, and now in this slide, they're looking to see the best way that they can present their work. And so what they have done is they've looked at different technologies, and in this piece, it's maybe difficult to tell, but these faux stained glass windows of themselves are in plexiglass picture frames that will then go up on a wall with lights behind them to give the effect of stained glass windows. Anchor Standard 6, presenting again. And this students are going to convey meaning through the presentation of their artwork. So Objects are displayed, and students really are going to, in this standard, students are there to figure out like why, like what's the meaning of their artwork. And so some of the essential questions is, what is an art museum? How do they choose what things are important to show? And then how do they decide where to put them, right? And so here's one of our students uh, standing in front of the final product that is in one of the galleries at Santa Barbara Museum of Art. Anchor standard number 7 goes into responding to art, and individual aesthetics and empathetic awareness developed through the engagement with art can lead to a deeper understanding of yourself and of others in the natural world. So this is where students are going to look and consider their experience making the art, and then look at the visual imagery and see how it influences them. And I love this image because here they are. Here's the students like looking at their piece, and really like contemplating and analyzing like how we posted it, where it's posted, and what kind of effect it has on people. Anchor standard number 8 again falls in the responding process. And this is where students are going to interpret the intent and meaning of an artwork. So the idea here is that people gain insight into the meaning of artwork by engaging in the process of criticizing it and understanding it. And so I've chosen the Napoleon painting on the left, and then Kehinde Wiley's take on that is on the right. And so there's a lot to unpack with this, and one of the parts of this standard is having vocabulary that will allow you to discuss your interpretations. And I think there's a lot going on with the Kehinde Wiley. There is an African American man sitting where Napoleon should be sitting, but he's in his Timberland boots and his camouflage. He's got a headband on. So there's a lot of questions as to, why did Kehinde make these choices? Anchor standard 10, we're now connecting meanings of artwork. So this is where you're going to synthesize and relate knowledge and personal experience in making art. So this is just how students have art enrich their lives. How does it make you aware of your surroundings, and how does it make you like aware of other people and other people's experience? So here's another example: Kehinde Wiley with church style stained glass, but with kind of a different subject, and our students kind of mimicking the same thing. Anchor number 9 is applying criteria to evaluate artistic work. And so this is where we're going to take specific criteria and look to see the effectiveness of the artwork. And lastly, the anchor standard number 11. This is connecting again. This is when students are going to relate artistic ideas and works with societal, cultural, and historical context to deepen their understanding. And so this is really where everything kind of all comes together. Why do the artist choose to represent what he's chosen? What does it tell us about history? What does it tell us about our society at this point? And I think Kehinde Wiley does a lot of work around this, forcing people to answer some questions. How's art used to impact societal views? How does art preserve aspects of our lives, right? So those are the standards, and then I've included this live link to the CDE webpage. And what I found down at the bottom in the resources section, there's a slide deck guide to reading and using the framework, which I found pretty helpful too. So there are the California standards.